Ever since I started milling my own flour and baking with sourdough yeast, my cookies have completely changed. Hi friends, welcome back to FitFab with Food. If you're new here, I'm so happy you're here. This channel is all about wholesome, from scratch cooking that helps you eat better without giving up the foods you love. Ever since I got my own grain mill, I've completely fallen in love with experimenting with different grains. There's something so satisfying about taking whole wheat berries, grinding them fresh, and turning them into real food right in your kitchen. And honestly, the flavor is on a totally different level compared to store bought flour. And now that my sourdough starter is thriving again, I have been having so much fun adding it into different recipes for extra flavor, better texture, and improved digestibility. So today I decided to combine both of those things and make one of my absolute favorite treats: sourdough chocolate chip cookies made with freshly milled einkorn flour. Einkorn is actually the most ancient form of wheat. It's never been hybridized like modern wheat, which is one of the reasons many people find it easier to digest. It naturally contains more protein, more iron, more zinc, and more B vitamins than modern wheat. It also has this rich, slightly buttery flavor and a beautiful velvety texture that works incredibly well in cookies. For the dry ingredients, I use freshly milled einkorn flour, baking soda, salt, cinnamon, and a little ground flaxseed for added fiber and nutrients. Because of einkorn's unique grain structure, it is also less likely to spike blood sugar compared to modern wheat, which makes it a great option if you're trying to be more mindful of blood sugar balance. So here I cream together softened butter, white sugar, brown sugar, and a little olive oil for a healthier fat swap. I slightly reduce the sugar so you can actually taste the grain and chocolate. If you are finding this video helpful so far, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who loves baking from scratch. It truly helps support my channel and allows me to keep sharing more recipes like this with you. And if you are new to fresh milled flour, I have created a full beginners playlist that walks you step by step through everything from choosing a mill to baking your first loaf. I will link it below. And this right here is my Alaskan sourdough starter. Look how bubbly and active it is. This is what I use as my sourdough yeast. Even when I'm using discard, it still adds incredible flavor and a beautiful softness to baked goods. Here in this recipe, I am using 2 full eggs and 1 egg yolk. And if you're looking for eggless cookies made with fresh milled flour, I have a few versions on my channel as well. I will link them below. So after adding my sourdough discard, I am adding eggs and of course some vanilla extract. At this stage, you just want to mix until everything is smooth and combined. You don't want to whip in too much air, especially when baking with einkorn. I will be honest, on this batch I slightly overmixed here and it gave me less chewy cookie, but they were still absolutely delicious. If you want maximum chew, just mix until everything is combined. Don't forget to scrape the bowl in between to make sure everything is properly combined. With Einkorn, the most important thing is not to overmix. I gently mixed everything until just combined. If you bake with Einkorn regularly, I would love to hear your favorite way to use it. Please write in the comments. I am using 70% dark chocolate for the deeper flavor. And of course, I had to taste it first. Now, here's the most important part that makes a huge difference with Einkorn cookies. These turn out best when you use a big cookie scoop, not the small one. The larger dough balls hold moisture better, bake more evenly, and stay softer inside. Once the dough is scooped, I chill it in the fridge for 24 hours. This resting time lets the sourdough develop deeper flavor and also improves the texture of the cookies. I like to freeze the extra cookie dough balls in the freezer so I can bake fresh cookies later whenever I want. It is important to gently press them thin before baking. Einkorn doesn't spread like modern wheat, so flattening them first is the secret to avoid a cakey texture. I let my frozen cookie dough sit out for a few minutes before baking. This gives me that perfect balance of spread and structure. They bake up beautifully. Nice golden edges, evenly browned, and smelling absolutely incredible. When they are freshly baked, you get that slight crisp on the outside and a soft, tender center on the inside. Not gooey, just perfectly soft. The flavor from the fresh milled einkorn and sourdough is deep, rich, and not overly sweet. These honestly taste best right out of the oven, especially the bigger cookies. Because these are made with whole grain and fresh flour, they're best enjoyed fresh. If you do store them, keeping them in an airtight container helps them stay softer longer. And you can always warm them up for a few seconds to bring that fresh baked texture back. Now, this is my favorite part. If you love baking with fresh milled flour, sourdough, or ancient grains like einkorn, this recipe is such a fun one to try. It's wholesome, satisfying, and still feels like a real treat.